You know what's really funny about the internet these days? Everybody suddenly becomes an expert on everything, even when they don't have a single clue about what's actually going on behind the scenes. It's like watching someone confidently explain how to fly a plane when they've never even been inside one. These so-called online analysts will jump on any trending topic, dissect it like they are seasoned investigators, and dish out conclusions that sound impressive but crumble the moment you apply even the tiniest bit of common sense. They are not really interested in the truth, honestly. What they want is attention, clicks, views, and that sweet engagement that makes their pages blow up. The problem is that regular people actually believe them because, well, confidence can be pretty convincing even when it's completely misplaced. Now let's talk about this whole situation with Uchi Nancy and the rumors swirling around her daughter Sonia Uche and actor Maurice. Some bloggers have been running their mouths, claiming that because Uchi Nancy hasn't said anything publicly about the dating rumors, it must mean the gossip is true. Can you believe that logic? It's like saying if you don't respond to every silly thing someone says about you at the market, then you must be guilty of whatever nonsense they're spreading. That's not how real life works, and it's definitely not how mature, intelligent people handle their business. But these bloggers don't care about that. They've built entire narratives around silence, interpreting someone's decision not to engage as some kind of confession, when in reality, it could just mean that the person is too busy living their actual life to respond to every piece of gossip floating around on social media. Here's something that people seem to have completely forgotten in all this chaos: there's a massive, glaring difference between a deadly, harmful lie and regular, everyday gossip that people share over drinks or in comment sections. One type of falsehood can genuinely destroy someone's reputation, cause real emotional trauma, and even have legal consequences. The other type is just noise, the kind of chatter that people engage in because they're bored or curious or just love a good story. When you mix these two things up and treat them as if they're the same, you end up with the confusion we are seeing right now. People are acting like Uchi Nancy should respond to dating rumors the same way she responded to something far more serious, and that's where the whole argument falls apart like a house of cards in a strong wind. Let's get into the real reason Uchi Nancy took action against the blogger in the first place, because this is where people are getting their wires seriously crossed. The blogger in question didn't just spread a rumor or suggest something scandalous about her family. No, this person went as far as falsely announcing that Uchi Nancy's daughter was dead. Dead. Can you even begin to comprehend the emotional violence of that kind of lie? That's not gossip, that's not speculation, that's not harmless fun. That's a deliberate act of cruelty that sends shockwaves through a family, terrifies relatives and friends, and causes psychological damage that doesn't just disappear overnight. Any mother with even an ounce of protective instinct would have done exactly what Uchi Nancy did, which was to take legal action against someone who crossed such an unforgivable line. When someone falsely declares your child dead on a public platform, you're not dealing with ordinary internet drama anymore. You're dealing with something that has real-world consequences, something that makes people call you in panic, something that could affect your child's mental health, business opportunities, and general sense of safety. This isn't about being sensitive or unable to take a joke. This is about recognizing that some lies are so dangerous, so malicious, that they demand a strong response. Uchi Nancy didn't act out of arrogance or because she's some power-hungry celebrity who wants to control every narrative. She acted out of pure, raw maternal instinct, the kind that makes a mother bear charge at anything that threatens her cubs. Anyone trying to spin that protective reaction into something negative is either deliberately twisting the story or completely lacks basic human empathy. So what exactly are people saying about Sonia Uche and Maurice anyway? Well, apparently some folks online have decided that these two actors are romantically involved, and they've been spinning this story like it's the juiciest scandal to hit Nollywood this year. But here's the thing, this rumor isn't based on any concrete evidence, no leaked photos, no public displays of affection, no statements from either party confirming anything. It's just social media doing what social media does best, which is creating stories out of thin air and then convincing itself that those stories must be true because, well, why not? The whole thing is basically fan fiction that people have started treating as investigative journalism, and that's where the line between entertainment and irresponsibility gets dangerously blurry. What makes this even more ridiculous is that people who are actually close to the situation, people who know Sonia, Uche and Maurice personally, have already come out and cleared the air. They've said plainly that these two are not dating, that the rumors are baseless, and that folks need to calm down with the wild speculation. So if the truth has already been told by reliable sources, why on earth would Uchi Nancy need to come out and make another statement? Would that suddenly make people believe it more? Of course not. The same people demanding that she speak up would probably just claim she's lying or covering something up. That's how these internet games work. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, so sometimes the smartest move is to simply refuse to play. Think about it from a practical standpoint for a second. If Uchi Nancy responded to every single rumor, every piece of gossip, every wild theory that people cook up about her family, she'd have absolutely no time to do anything else. She'd become a full-time rumor response machine, constantly putting out statements, constantly defending, constantly explaining. And you know what people would say then? They'd call her obsessed, unstable, too sensitive, unable to handle the spotlight. The internet is designed to trap you like that. Silence means guilt, but speaking up means you're defensive. You literally cannot win, so the only reasonable approach is to choose your battles carefully and respond only when something genuinely matters. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, and anyone with half a brain can see the difference. Some bloggers, though, are taking the whole Obubet situation where the false death announcement happened and deliberately twisting it to create fear and confusion. They're suggesting that Uchi Nancy is going to come after anyone who mentions Sonia, Uche and Maurice in the same sentence, as if she's some kind of villain patrolling the internet looking for victims. That narrative is not just false, it's manipulative. It's designed to make Uchi Nancy look unreasonable and scary, when in reality, she's just a mother who drew a very clear line at a very specific type of harm. There's a world of difference between arresting someone for declaring your child dead and going after people for harmless relationship speculation, but these bloggers are counting on their audience being too lazy or too swept up in drama to notice that difference. The Obubet case was pure defamation, a legal term that actually means something serious in the real world. Defamation can ruin careers, destroy mental health, and cause financial losses that take years to recover from. That's why laws exist to protect people from it. But comparing that kind of malicious falsehood to people shipping two actors together. That's like comparing a 5-alarm fire to someone lighting a birthday candle. They are not even in the same universe of seriousness. Yet here we are, with people acting confused about why Uchi Nancy responded to one situation but not the other, as if the answer isn't staring them right in the face. It's almost like some folks want to be confused because confusion creates content, and content creates traffic. Uchi Nancy clearly knows how to pick her battles, and that's a skill that more people need to learn in this age of constant online chaos. Not every piece of noise deserves your attention, not every rumor requires a response, and not every critic needs to be engaged. Some things are worth fighting for, like protecting your child from harmful lies. Other things are just part of the territory when you're in the public eye, like people speculating about relationships or making up stories for entertainment. A mature person understands this distinction and acts accordingly, saving their energy and resources for battles that actually matter rather than wasting time swatting at every mosquito that buzzes near their ear. Let's be real for a moment, speculation keeps celebrities trending, and sometimes that curiosity is completely harmless. People have been gossiping about public figures since the beginning of time. Who's dating who might be expecting a baby, who's feuding with who, all of that has been part of entertainment culture forever. It's not inherently evil or malicious, it's just human nature to be curious about people whose lives play out in the public sphere. As long as that speculation doesn't cross into dangerous territory like false death announcements, threats, or genuinely harmful defamation, it's really just part of the game. Celebrities know this, which is why most of them have learned to let the harmless stuff roll off their backs while standing firm against the truly damaging lies. Here's something that should be obvious but apparently needs to be stated: silence from a public figure doesn't automatically mean guilt, especially when the truth has already been clearly established by other credible sources. Sometimes silence just means, I have better things to do than dignify this with a response. Sometimes it means, this is so obviously untrue that addressing it would actually give it more credibility than it deserves. And sometimes it just means, I'm tired and this isn't worth my energy. Reading guilt into every moment of silence is a paranoid way to interpret the world, and it says more about the person doing the interpreting than it does about the person staying quiet. But paranoia and conspiracy thinking get more engagement than calm, rational analysis, so guess which approach most bloggers choose? If celebrities actually arrested everyone who shipped them with someone or spread relationship rumors about them, the entertainment industry would grind to a complete halt. Think about how many fan pages exist solely to promote imaginary relationships between actors who have good on-screen chemistry. Think about how many gossip columns have built entire business models around speculating about celebrity romances. If legal action was the standard response to all of that, the courts would be more clogged than Lagos traffic during rush hour, and nobody would have time to actually make movies or music or any form of entertainment. The system works because most public figures understand the difference between harmful lies and harmless speculation, and they respond proportionally. That's exactly what Uchi Nancy is doing, whether people want to admit it or not. Now let's talk about the bloggers who are intentionally creating chaos because, frankly, drama is their only source of relevance. Without controversy, without scandal, without manufactured outrage, their pages would be as exciting as watching paint dry on a humid day. So they take small situations and blow them up into massive controversies. They take silence and interpret it in the most dramatic way possible. They take clear situations and muddy them with false comparisons and twisted logic. And why? Because that's what gets shares, comments, and followers. Truth is boring, nuance doesn't trend, but a good scandal with a villain and a victim. That's social media gold, and these content creators will mine it until there's nothing left, regardless of who gets hurt in the process. Then you have the commenters who don't actually care about facts at all. They're not interested in what really happened, they're not looking for evidence, they don't want clarity. What they want is a good scandal to feed their boredom, something to talk about, something to make them feel like they're part of a bigger story. These are the people who will ignore all evidence, dismiss all explanations, and cling to the most dramatic version of events because that's simply more entertaining. You could present them with video proof, signed statements, and expert testimony, and they'd still find a way to doubt it all because the truth doesn't scratch the itch that brought them to the comment section in the first place. They came for drama, and by all that's holy, they're going to find drama even if they have to invent it themselves. Some of these so-called online analysts are particularly frustrating because they pretend to be intelligent and thoughtful, using big words and confident tones to make their arguments sound credible. But the moment you actually examine their logic, it falls apart faster than a cheap umbrella in a storm. They'll say things like, her silence is suspicious, without acknowledging that silence is often the most mature response to nonsense. They'll compare completely different situations as if context doesn't matter. They'll cherry-pick information that supports their narrative while ignoring everything that contradicts it. And people believe them because they sound authoritative, even though their reasoning wouldn't hold up under even casual scrutiny from anyone thinking critically. There's also a nasty undercurrent of jealousy driving some of this content, particularly from gossip pages that seem annoyed that Sonia Uche stays relevant without needing scandals or controversies. Some people genuinely can't stand watching others succeed through talent, hard work, and positive energy, so they try to drag them down by manufacturing drama. If you're doing well without feeding the gossip machine, that's threatening to people whose entire existence depends on that machine, so they'll try to force you into it. They'll create stories, push narratives, and do whatever it takes to get a reaction because your success in spite of their nonsense is unbearable to them. It's sad, really, but it's also very real and very common in the entertainment world. Finally, let's address the content creators who treat people's emotions like toys, manipulating stories purely to increase their view counts and engagement metrics. These folks have absolutely no regard for the real human beings behind the headlines. They don't care that false stories can cause genuine pain, anxiety, and damage. They don't care that families might be stressed or that reputations might suffer. All they care about is whether their post will go viral, whether their follower count will increase, whether brands might notice them for partnerships. It's a cold, calculated approach to content creation that strips away all humanity and treats everyone involved as nothing more than characters in a story that exists solely for profit. And until audiences start rejecting this type of content and demanding better, it's only going to get worse because success reinforces behavior, and right now, this behavior is being heavily rewarded. Hey guys, stay locked in guys, subscribe and share and get ready for the next big gist, because the tea is always hot over here.